All right, so it's 18:30, we'll call the meeting to order. Everybody get the meeting minutes from the 21st?
I'll make the motion that we approve the minutes of the meeting of the 21st as read.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Need to adjust?
I do, number 4, the sign, the solar loan, we did not get the paperwork today like we anticipated. So we can remove that. And from what I hear, it should be here tomorrow for signatures.
So we'll postpone that till further notice?
We could, I mean, we did have the meeting,
Yeah.
so we could just sign it, and come in and sign it, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what it was for, so.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
we never actually had a motion on the amount and stuff.
No, we did, okay, so we might
Not on
end
the
up
amount or
having,
the percentage of that kind of stuff.
we'd have a special meeting, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of minutes. It wouldn't be
Is anybody here to talk about anything that's not on the agenda? Okay. Rick?
Business number 1 is this time of year again to review and approve the road crossings for VAST. I believe Joe's in the audience if we have any questions. It looks exactly the same as last year when I looked over it. Is that,
That's correct, yeah. Well, nothing has changed in the last couple of years. We've been pretty lucky with landowners and whatnot, so, yeah.
I never hear anything negative.
no? And that's, what, December 16th? With snow?
With snow. Let's keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
If you're a snowmobiler.
Yeah.
Maybe this weekend.
Well, I'll make a motion we approve the VAS trails for this year as suggested.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Looks good.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Number 2 is the summary of Act 181, which was passed into law in June of this past year. Well, I don't want to butcher it, so Jason is here from Mountain Regional Planning to he can kind of give us a little update and overview of what this is.
Sure, yeah, thanks for having me. You know, my thought was to come here and just make sure you're all aware of it. I think many people have heard about Act 181. It used to be referred to as House Bill, 687? Or some people were referring to it as the Act 250 bill last year, so I think a lot of people have heard about it. There's a lot in this thing. It's a really thick document, but there's some changes that affect you as the town. There's some little tweaks to what's required in the town plan. You don't need to run out and make those changes tomorrow, but the next time you update it, you know, you should make sure that you talk to us or talk to somebody else to just make sure you know what those details are. The main thing I want to really just bring to your attention is it requires us to update our regional plan, and parts of the regional plan are going to have implications for you, the town. So the state designation program is changing, and so basically what's on our map is going to become your village center designation. So we're going to work with you all to just make sure that the boundaries are right on our maps. Gone are the days basically you have to apply for renewal and all that stuff, which is nice. We almost missed the deadline a few years ago. Yeah, the short version is we're just on our future land use map in the regional plan. We need to make sure that we have the Cavendish and the Proctorsville Village Center delineated properly, and we want to make sure we're talking with you all about that to make sure we get it right. Probably it's going to be a status quo situation, but we could talk about adjusting the boundaries a little bit. Once our plan is in place in about 2 years, if not sooner, it'll just get automatic designation. You won't have to really go back to the state for anything like that. If anything, you want to make a change, you go through us and you have to amend the regional plan. So that's probably the most important piece for you folks. The other part that's really impactful, less so for you, is Act 250 exemptions. There's, you might have heard about these tiers 1 through 3 that were established in this law. Tiers 1A and 1B provide differing levels of exemption from Act 250. But basically, you need to have zoning and subdivision for those to apply. And so really in Cavendish, that's not, apply, in case you decide to adopt some regulations. So what that really means, I think, for you is you're gonna be in Tier 2 and Tier 3. It's not, the rules for Tier 3 aren't clear yet. So essentially that's a status quo situation in Tier 2. So basically no change to Act 250 as it is now. Once the state figures out what Tier 3 is gonna be, that might impact you as well. That's gonna be essentially the most remote areas are yet to be determined where that's gonna be, but those will have heightened Act 250. There's gonna be more Act 250 reviews in that part of the state, once they figure out where that is. I think those are the main pieces. We have to update our plan by December of 2026, and the process is kind of long to get through, various different state level reviews. So we're shooting to have a final draft around December of next year. So probably over the next numbers of months, Aaron here, who's works with me, we're going to be trying to reach out probably to your planning commission or you, the select board, depending on how you want us to work with you all, to really just talk about the details and make sure we get it right.
Jason, a question? Can I ask
Please,
you a question?
yep.
You said this Act 181 is it's quite lengthy,
Yes.
and I've been through some of that stuff. Are you going to come out like a Dick and Jane version of these are the 2 pages you have to do? Because it's hard to get through that stuff.
It is, yeah, and even the, this is the state's version of a summary.
Yeah, I know.
So it's not, yeah. We have a presentation that's available. We have this 2-pager that I could potentially make available. I don't know that it's that helpful specifically to
Right.
Act 181, but there are a few
There's
copies
extras up here too.
here which we could
It's
make
like, how
available.
would our planning commission really know what to hone into? I think that's what.
Yeah, I think, we're planning to come to the planning commission in the near future,
Mhm.
and we can talk about it then. In terms of the town plan, there's not a lot. There are a few things that they should be looking at. Some of it doesn't exist yet, so there's housing targets that the
Mhm.
state's coming up with.
Mhm.
We're trying to understand how many new houses we need.
Mhm.
And so there's gonna be some targets, but we don't have them yet. So that'll need to be reflected in the plan. And then in terms of what the regional plan wants to look at, we'll come and talk to the planning commission about that and get their feedback.
Okay, thanks.
That'd probably be a really good idea. Thanks.
Are there any questions or any other questions?
Not yet, you're pretty much just at the beginning stages of getting going with this, so.
Yeah, and some of the methodology for the mapping isn't yet done yet. And like, there are a lot of details yet to be determined, but we're gonna be trying to hit the ground running fairly soon.
Yep. I'm sure questions will arise as we get further and further down.
I think you know how to reach us if you do, so feel free to reach out.
Well, we appreciate you coming here tonight. Number 3,
Well, we're gonna just keep on this theme. What's that? Oh, keep on this theme with Jason talking a little bit. But as you remember, last month's meeting, we talked and I let you know that we were gonna be sending out the RFP, which they have and have received them back. I guess you have a little bit about that as well. And this would be, I haven't seen them yet either, but, so Jason, kind of where we're at on that one.
Sure, yeah, we, as you may know, in talking with Rick and Brendan and a few other folks, we had initially applied for a grant to pay for this study, and that didn't really pan out. So we looked at Plan B. There were some other grant opportunities, but it didn't seem like a good way to go. So we said, well, let's just get an RFP out there. Let's see who's out, what the proposals are that come in. Let's see what it would cost. Let's see what we can do to pay for the thing. So the due date was last Friday. We got 2 proposals. And honestly, if I were thinking to myself, like, who did I wish were going to submit proposals? There were 3 firms that came to mind. 2 of them submitted proposals. So I think these are 2 good firms. Neither Rick nor Brendan in Ludlow have seen them yet, but we're going to get them to you guys really soon. Our hope is to go through those together as sort of a little committee, see what we all think, and go from there. I've barely looked at them at this point in time. I think they're both pretty solid, but the budget is about $75,000, and we have a good chunk that we can spend on it. But we can talk more about this stuff after we look at the details, and maybe next month make some decisions.
That was 3 towns, right? Plymouth was included in that?
Plymouth is included. We've talked to, I've not talked directly to Plymouth. We were talking with Two Rivers Ottaquechee Regional Commission, who serve Plymouth. They're not one of our towns. And they're on board to some extent. We got to figure that out. Who's chipping in, who's not, whatever. But we're just hoping we can make this work, because I think I'm hearing from 2 town managers, we really need to think about this. How can we be more resilient? We've had 2, if not more, terrible floods recently, many more over the years, and we know more are coming. So what can we do to, slow it and spread it, make it not so bad next time? So that's really the whole idea. So I think I'm hoping that between Rick and Brendan and others that we'll make some decisions soon and keep you all in the loop on that.
Because there's, on the RFP, there was a schedule of December of this year having like a kickoff meeting. So
It's coming
we're
up.
still holding.
I
I'm
so.
available. I'm just.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think that is the plan. We're hoping that the towns can chip in a small chunk of money, a few thousand, 5,000, something like that. But we have to figure out how and if we can do this. So I think it's going to be over 2 fiscal years, which helps. And again, I have a bunch of money that I can throw at it.
It's a well-needed and important project, that's for sure.
And what will basically be the upshot of that? Is just to come up with recommendations or actual implementation of?
Yeah, I think, we'd start kind of more about like a brainstorming, I call it, like what can we do? What can we do? What are our opportunities? The 2 different proposals have some different numbers, but let's say up to 10 conceptual plans could be developed as part of this. So it would really help gear the towns up to have some projects and have some sense of the details so that we could apply for some grant funding and things like that. And these are hydrologists and engineers and very smart people that can really help us to kind of figure out what projects are going to have more impact than others. What's our biggest bang for the buck? We should have a sense of cost from these projects. So I think it should help us to understand, are there some meaningful projects in Cavendish that we can do to make it better, hopefully to mitigate the next flood.
Which you can see as we will be talking soon on Gravity Field as well.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so we're skipping 4? I'm sorry, are we all set?
I'm all set, yep.
Anybody have any other questions? So number 5, discussion of Gravity Field project and grant opportunity.
We I think we applied for a grant for Cavendish. We've kind of hit this from two directions. It's in this resilience study that we just discussed. But these things take so long that we kind of were going for broke because we have to do something with Cavendish. So this is the exact type of project that Emergency Management wants to do with this grant funding. It's basically floodplain restoration. And I talked to them, I had a meeting with them last week, and unfortunately, who I was working with at Mark is no longer working there, so we kind of had a little bit of a snag and a setback. And I think there was some confusion with Vermont, with the state and with us. So basically, by the end of the meeting, they want to make sure that the town is committed to doing a project there, committed to doing something to mitigate the flooding. And that's basically why I wanted to bring it up tonight, to make sure that this is the direction we're definitely going with this. So I can let them know that we are 100% committed to this. And I mean, you can see in our pre-application plan, I mean, there's a lot to it, and it's not saying that it's not gonna be a ball field there ever again, but that could be part of it. This is mostly just to mitigate the flood in the future. It's a great project.
Well, it seemed, talking, from my memory too of the river there and talking to people, that it has filled in quite a bit. So the depth of that is much less, is more shallow, the river there. So it's going to flood more. But I didn't see anything in that proposal that talked about digging that part of the channel deeper so that you wouldn't have as much,
I think that
mitigation there. And so I'm wondering what, if that's something you could actually push for or try to do, because that seems to be one of the better things to ensure that field won't be flooding as much.
Right.
That's
That's usually a lot harder to get through with the state on any of that digging out of the river. I don't even know if that, the flood resilience study will even touch on any getting in the rivers and getting them out.
We can ask the folks and they'll tell us.
Right.
And they'll probably tell us, no, you can't do that.
Right.
They don't like that, because what
Yeah.
happens when you dig the river, your banks come down,
Right.
and they're trying
Well,
to stabilize, and you make the problem worse. So and if you have a floodplain there, that's its job to take on the water,
Right.
so it doesn't end up on Depot Street.
But you're trying to do all these things to the field, like take down the wall, all these things, which maybe would be you wouldn't have to do as much if you had a deep,
Well,
a deeper
the people
channel.
that answer those
I mean, they've
questions
done
are
this.
It's hydrogeologists and
Yeah, but they've done this on
Earthquakes.
a lot of streams after floods. They'll go in because they have some time when that's allowed, and they go in and they do clear them out, and you've seen that all over. So.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason for this possible project is to make room for the water to pass through there
Exactly.
more than it does now.
Yeah.
And like you both said, I don't think the state's gonna say you can dig the river out, because they
I
don't let much of that happen
I
anymore.
don't believe they're going to either.
Yeah.
It can always be brought up, but I
And
think it'd be a short conversation.
I could be wrong, but I have trouble imagining anything that we had down there made the flood any worse.
What was there before today, anything that the water can hit and bounce off of is a problem. So you had the shacks and play equipment, all that stuff makes it problematic. Today, the only thing that's still there is the green monster, which is slowly
Right.
and it's.
But that doesn't make the flooding worse.
Again,
The water coming up really wasn't affected by, well, at least not by the second green monster, the first one, maybe.
they moved the green monster so it would go more with the flow of the
Right.
river. But again, the people that can answer a lot of those questions aren't in the room. I mean, I don't want to speak for hydrogeologists because I'm not. I've spent a lot of time there, done a lot of work there, but I listen to what they tell me. So,
I think a lot of this project would be around the planting of trees to kind of slow the water down. There might be some digging and stuff in there, but that would be in the field side
Yeah.
more than in the river.
Well, before, when the old bridge was there, all those trees came down and plugged it up. And trees, in a flood, the trees do not really stop. I mean, maybe far away in a floodplain, they help a little bit, but, near the main force of the water, I mean, I've seen it, 20 Mile Stream and stuff, those trees just come right down. We just don't have deep soils in those places that
so
fit for that. But
you weren't here last week, Mike, or last time, Mike, but we have done a huge amount of work to clear the ditches. There we can dig. You dig
Right.
in ditches, you don't dig in the rivers. So we have dug those out, got the invasives out, a lot of it, so the water can flow through there. And I don't know, Rick, if you've been over to look at the work the kids have done,
I didn't make it over
but
there.
that, which is fine. But it should serve a little bit better this time. The problem is the road that comes down, all underneath that culvert, that's a little, that's a little challenging at this point. I mean, we were able to get in and out of there easily and do quite a bit of work,
Yeah.
but there's a lot more to be done.
But with the restoration, are we talking about it being used for anything?
Yeah, I think it would actually have quite a bit of use. There'd still be trails down there. There'd be, stuff like that, and maybe there could still be a ball field. It wouldn't look the same. There wouldn't be all the shacks and
Right.
stuff down there. But no, you could still have, and it might not be that wide of an open space, but there could be at least a ball field down there.
Rick, this may be a good time to update, because you were part of the last phone call about the floodplain group that Black River's running. Were you on that last call?
No, I ended up having to leave early. That was the Zoom meeting, you mean?
Yeah,
No, I
because
ended,
there is a lot of work that is being proposed for
Fletcher.
Fletcher, and Timmy Calabrese is part of that committee, and the whole group of us went down to Brattleboro to look what they have done in their managing floodplains and all of that, and so there was a lot of excitement. So there are people from Cavendish, people from Ludlow, and Black River Action Team. Kelly is hosting that and heading it up, but one of the groups that's kind of in the in-between is Fletcher Field, which is owned by Fletcher Foundation, correct? And Timmy is part of that, and George Thompson is the chair. And they're all on board to do whatever they can. So there's also more flood stream restoration going on above us in Ludlow. And of course, what goes above or below impacts above and below. So there's a lot to be hopeful for if we can get stuff done before we get hit again. But understand, because people ask all the time, well, planting, what does it do? Well, when you plant a floodplain, 30% of the raindrops are picked up by the canopy. And then another percentage are picked up by the roots. That's why you plant things like dogwoods and shrub willows, because those root systems love water and they'll soak it up. Will this type of strategy help and protect 103, the homes all around there? We would hope that, because
At least-
we know there's,
At least mitigate a little bit.
yeah, and help Depot Street and Singleton's.
And this, I mean, it's definitely a wide project. That's why it's the whole rivershed on the other one, because little thing you can do is better. Not one little project is gonna make the biggest difference, but the whole
Being a next door neighbor to the river, I'm all for it.
Rick, can I ask you, this wasn't the big $90 million grant? This was, so this means the town now can apply for a grant for Brevin Field?
This one is applied for Grevin Field.
Are there any other aspects of what you applied for that you can also apply, what you asked to apply for? I guess that's the way it works.
There was other projects, and I think everybody in the state had multiple projects they put in for this. So they basically, they boiled it down to, they were gonna concentrate more on floodplain restoration and stuff like that, not as much structures and rebuilding structures.
So
this was,
elevation, none of that?
this got brought pretty to the top of their list, because this is exactly kind of what they want. They really like this project.
Good.
Okay. Margot, you know you dropped something, right?
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Any other thing? Okay, move on to old business?
So I can report to the state that we are
Yeah.
on board.
It'll help protect people and their property? Yeah.
You're gonna look them in the eye and say, we're doing everything we can, you know,
Yeah.
so.
And if part of it can be that we get a field down there again, great, bonus, but,
But I can't
Right.
sit here and guarantee that.
yeah, no.
According to what I read in the study here, it says that the project is more structured towards reestablishing the natural
Yeah,
Yeah,
barriers around the facility and possible future uses for educational stuff and trails, but that's all it
Yeah.
says.
yeah. Because it hasn't been 100% defined yet on what's gonna be the best project for there. It's something, but I'm not a hydrologist and we don't have those reports yet on those studies, so.
ARPA funds?
Yes, the ARPA funds. And I believe at last month's meeting, I said I was going to have a definitive number today to have a resolution. Well, I did not get that done. I don't have a contract yet for the water meters. We did have received the proposals. We have picked a vendor for that, but I don't have the signed contract. I still will be, I meet with them on Wednesday to give our definitive meter count to them and talk about on that and get a real number. So I should have that really soon. I can have that easily before December's meeting, but if I end up being able to get it sooner before we have the loan agreement, with our special agreement to sign that, we can do a resolution in there as well. It's close, I just did not get it done.
Are you gonna do like a list of like where all the ARPA funds were dispersed to and the amounts and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought I did last week, but I went through the minutes and it didn't look like I did. I just went through them right before this meeting. I didn't have that list. I thought it was in here, but from last meeting, but it's not. But I'll have that for the next one.
Okay.
Mike, can I ask a question?
Please?
Rick, are there any other projects that have not been obligated yet?
That is the last one. That would be the final amount of obligated money. There was other projects which that I had even written about technology for Zoom here and smaller numbers like that. When we do this resolution and make the money go over into a fund, then we can use that money still for those other projects. It's just no longer ARPA money.
Yeah, because I was looking online, it says that ARPA funds cannot be transferred to a general fund.
They could be to offset costs incurred during the pandemic. You can use it for that. So we could use it to offset payroll or anything during that time.
Okay, because they were very specific on their website about
That,
that.
this is what I was getting from VLCT, is what they were.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at too. That they it can't be used against payroll or any other expenditures. But if you know something more than I do, I'm just reading what's
Right.
in here.
That's what I was told by VLCT, was that we could.
Yeah,
Because they have it written, so maybe,
yeah, we gotta get
Right.
clear on that. We only got another month. I
Right.
hate to have them come and take some
Yeah.
money
if they say
back.
that, then you have to give the money back.
Right. No, I asked VLCT for this, and they told me, and they even gave me an example resolution for this,
Okay,
to be able to do it.
okay, good.
And I think,
I know when you say I think, I get nervous.
well,
I want to see it in writing.
well, you're making me nervous too. I'm gonna double, triple check on that, but
Yeah,
I won't say I think, I'm pretty sure that is correct.
all right, you do that, thank you.
Mark, grant update.
Last month, I mentioned that we had submitted an application for the Municipal Energy Resilience Program grant. We have been awarded this grant in the amount of just over $308,000. So it's $308,564.41. And of course, this, like we talked about last month, this is, for work at the town office, water plant, and the sewer plant. New windows, insulation, making the town office ADA accessible, new lighting and stuff like that. I don't believe a lot of these were given out. I don't know if you have how many towns, but I don't think a lot of towns got these, so I think we did all right getting one, so. And this is all like, it's 100% grant, and, I'm gonna be working with Mark on this with the hardship, because originally, the hardship was they were gonna give us the money up front. I'm not sure if that's still the case, or if we have to spend it first and then get reimbursed. I heard they're meeting tomorrow, and I think that might be one of the questions that Martha was saying. I don't know if you were in that meeting or not, so,
I don't know anything about it.
okay, so,
I do know we only had about 4 towns that got money, so
yeah,
you're lucky that way.
yeah.
Was that that amount from proposals, or they just came up with some?
That was from our proposal, yeah.
Our yeah, you cost of it.
We were a little bit higher than that, but it's, but no, that's pretty much everything. So let's hope for the hardship, and they just send it to us.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of work that needs to be done with new doors, new insulation, and heat pumps that be really beneficial, and got a lot of money to pay for it, so.
Was that also part of the handicap thing, or was that different?
That was.
That was.
The mini grant was part of this grant as well, the $4,000 mini grant, which we used a portion of that to do the study on this building. So then 20% of this grant can be used for ADA accessibility as well. So that's where that money's gonna come from for that. Any more questions on the? That's pretty much all I have on an update on that one. We can cross that one off.
Okay. Down to the manager's report.
At last month's meeting, I was asked about the lines, especially on 20 Mile Stream, as you know, it is getting dark earlier. I have reached out to a company that was recommended. I just barely got a proposal for that. I haven't looked at it yet. Real close. It's a little higher than what we have in the budget when you add Whitesville, but it's not a problem to get lines marked this time of year, so we'll probably be doing that relatively soon. I can't imagine that they're still really busy. And of course, you know, Class 2 road, usually the state, but they'd already done it before we paved. So there was nothing there for that. And I do want to make sure everybody's aware that I'm still working with Lafayette, the people that do the guardrails, to fix the damage from the flooding. I'm sure everybody's noticed that.
Did he?
Okay.
They had noticed that the guardrails are still like that. We're supposed to be really soon on that. You know, we have Meadowbrook Farm, Brook Road, and Heald Road. There's quite a bit of footage of guardrails that need to be replaced and put in. And I just wanted to make sure I said that because it's been quite a while now, and we're still working on it. So.
Do we have any emergency lighting in this place, by the way? or no?
Cell phone flashlights?
Yeah, okay. I thought public, you know, like
There is-
had to.
There is
something
one,
so-
but I don't.
somewhere.
But I actually tested it 2 days
Just
ago, and
curious.
it needs a new battery. So it's not gonna do
I
much.
know those things go so quick.
And that's all I had for
Okay. That's a short one.
yeah, it was. Unprepared.
Dave,
Good.
Good.
anything?
We had a question. There was something online about, you know, about a blower. It was blowing stuff out.
Yes, we talked last year when we when we were going through the budget, we had talked about the blower, hydro seeder, and I meant to put that in there. But yeah, we ended up getting the blower this fall.
But that was like $10,000. And we didn't have any say in that. We didn't have any approval of that. And I'm sort of
Right.
concerned that we're like, I mean, there's the 500 or 1,000 I know we had you could spend, but when you get up to 10,000 and it's public tax money, we really, it should go through this board, otherwise we're,
I should have went through the board on that one. I kind of went, and we had talked about it during budget. So thinking we were good.
okay, yeah. Yeah, I was concerned about that. Are they doing it? I know we got a good
Yeah.
storm coming up, but we.
No, they're doing it. It actually works quite well. There's a little bit of a learning curve with it. Obviously, not all our ditches are nice, just a little ditch. Some of them go up a large hill. So there's a little learning curve, but it does work great.
Okay.
That's good.
We're talking the blower that blows the leaves out of the dishes?
Yep,
Yeah, those do work good.
they work pretty good.
We have had one person that commented about, please don't blow them on our lawn. But we assure them, and we have a whole campaign, leave the leaves alone on your lawn. Keep them out of the ditch, but leave them alone on your lawn, they're good for the environment. So that's our newest campaign.
Some people say don't put them back on our yard, like they had put them into the ditches.
Mike, you got anything?
I'm good.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed?
None.
None. We're good. We were out at